as part of Supernal's January-February issue, we're looking at the elephant in the room. And it's a really important thing because we want our listeners and our readers to actually get in touch with us and interact with us about this. What is your elephant in the room? And so the food in the supermarket, you know, that's touted as very healthy and good for you, when you drill right down into it, you realize maybe it's not so good and healthy for us. I mean, we have choices. I mean, the elephant in the room for me in that scenario is we go and buy our veggies from a farmer's market to cut down the carbon miles, to cut down what chemicals are being used, what preservatives are being used, because we're talking about preservatives. And, you know, we're paying more for that. And the average person who might be struggling financially will go and buy stuff because it's cheap from the supermarket thinking. So the elephant in the room for me is the quality of food versus the cost versus how many people can actually get access to that. You know, because there can be a big difference when you're paying, what was it recently, about $9 or $8 for an iceberg lettuce. Because of all the flooding and all the rest of it. And you know, lettuce seeds went out the door and you couldn't buy lettuce seeds because everyone was growing lettuces at home. And if everybody could grow their own, a chunk of their own food and eat those fresh foods from home, they're already in a better position. However, what I see in that is the people that might be not as well off financially are the ones that are pushed into a scenario of buying cheap from the supermarket because that's all they can afford.
Which is no longer cheap because the supermarkets threw their prices up. There's probably the difference between that and going to the local, you know, gate. We've got heaps down here on the peninsula, you know, veggie gates and stuff. It was probably.
So I'm just going to cut straight. I'm just going to cut straight through this and go, who benefits from there being haves and have-nots? Who benefits from conflicts between civilizations, between countries? Who benefits? Who always wins?
There's got to be someone in the background that always wins.
Who's that? And because what's
the rulers, those who consider themselves in control, in authority, power.
Yeah, and who are they?
Well, politicians, banks, or really anybody that, you know what, psychopaths. Basically, anybody
that's a really good umbrella, actually. They're all psychopaths.
Really, if I think about it, it could be anybody in any category, depending on their whole archetype, where they're at and who they're at.
Sure, but at the top of the food chain on Earth in the current paradigm, who wins? And you already said it, Shirley. Starts with B and ends with Ank. It doesn't matter because they fund everything. They fund the winners and losers of wars. They fund it all.
Yep.
And their agenda is to make capital gain.
Yeah.
And that consciousness is fed down through every aspect of society, so that society is operating based on win-lose consciousness and capital gain, by and large.
Yep.
And really, as a humanity and as a species, this ringer that we're being pushed through is to move us into a state of realization and awareness that we can actually live where we have win-wins all the time and through all of the systems. No one needs to have more than the other. And I'm not talking about being socialists. I'm talking about people being free to express their soul's truth and purpose, and to act from a place of love and service for themselves, self-love, and one another.
I mean, you could talk about big pharma, you can talk about big agriculture, you can talk about big oil, you can talk about, you know, big bankers and all of this stuff. And really everything they're doing is exactly what Shirley was saying, psychopaths, because they get the pleasure from supporting all sides because they win regardless. And so, you know, if we look at complementary medicines or complementary therapies, much better word, complementary therapies. And I was really interested in a podcast that I was listening to the other day where I can't remember the gentleman's name. I've never sort of heard him talk before, so it's all new to me. And he was talking about the fact that natural foods can't be classed as good for you under the CDC or the one of those bodies over in America, FDA. Because no one's paying for the foods to be tested properly. Now, each bit of food would cost somewhere between $20,000 and $25,000 for testing. So basically, what he was saying is, you know, the companies aren't going to spend that money to test foods for their wholesomeness properly, and then because then they can't actually trademark it because it's a natural product of the earth. And so it's really interesting. So, you know, we think that all the foods that we eat, fresh foods that we eat, have been tested because they're that, but then a lot of them haven't, because it would cost too much money for the average company to do it and then try and do something with it. So that's why they don't bother. They do the basic testing on foods. Yep, there's a benefit there, and there. So we're going to recreate that as a chemical, and that's what we're patenting. That's what we're working with. And so without regard for that holistic approach. And so that's just one aspect, because when we talk about complementary medicine or therapy, more therapy than anything else, is we're being told here at the moment in Australia that they're trying to shut down complementary therapies that could impact a person's life in a positive way, because most complementary therapies are very positive, very natural, very healing to go hand in hand with. At certain parties, like Big Pharma and stuff like that, their agenda is not to get people healthy. Healthy people don't give them profit. And so, you know, and I'm not going out on a limb by saying that. This is, you know, the elephant in the room is people don't want to look at it. And so they look at it and just go, yes, I'm going to just go to the doctor and I'm just going to take my drugs. The doctor cares for me. Well, we're finding out that doesn't work either at the moment. You know,
health yourself, heal thyself. So
the doctors are afraid. The doctors are afraid to lose their practicing license because they're being told that they have to operate in certain paradigms, which is handed down from bodies that are ultimately self-elected, self-governing organizations such as the WHO. Yep. Now, I never elected them in.
No,
Did
no
you?
one has.
No one has.
No one has.
Yet their edicts are being handed down throughout the global society.
Mm-hmm.
It's a problem.
If you delve into that, it goes even a lot deeper and a lot more into it. So even bringing it back to the average person like us, you know, we're just our normal selves, not average by any means. No one is. But if we talk about it from a point of view of what Shirley just said, heal thyself, when you've got doctors, that what is the end game? What are they so afraid of? And they're so afraid of losing their license because then they can't practice and then they have no money. And money is the driver behind them. So when we look at, you know, and I have been privy to a lot of information about what doctors earn and what they do and all the rest of it. And so, you know, as I clear my throat for this one, because obviously we're going live with it, but, you know, I had a doctor recently say to me, well, I'm getting close to retirement, so it doesn't matter. I'm going to stand up now anyway. Now, if you look at the driver behind that, they spend a lot of money on their education. I get that. However, where are their ethics gone? You know, if they can't walk away from their practice, their job, if every doctor who questioned, right, every doctor who questioned and as we know, and we've covered this before, every doctor is supposed to research what drugs they're giving. They're supposed to make up their minds whether it's good or bad or otherwise, and then work with their patients to help them to heal.
Test their genomes to see if it'll be okay for them.
Yeah.
They don't.
And they're not, because they're being told to do something they don't necessarily agree with. But the fear is they're going to lose their license. If every doctor that has given out a certain drug, and without going into it in too much detail, because we're all smart enough to know what I'm talking about, but if every doctor who's been giving out these things turn around and said, I'm not going to do this, and I'm walking away from my practice, apart from the fact that the health system would fall over for a little bit, it might actually put out to people that, you know, their doctor actually does care for them, because they're standing up for what they believe in, instead of believing in the dogma that they're told they have to believe in.
Look,
And so,
there are plenty of things in the orthodox medical paradigm that are absolutely extraordinary. You know, they save people's lives every day, you know, with surgeries and even things like the very basic paracetamol to cut a fever, which stops someone's brain from overcooking a child. It saves their life. So please understand, this is not about throwing everything in any one aspect into a wrong or unhealthy basket, because there is good in everything. It's about the appropriateness, and it's about the disclosure, and it's about the consciousness driver behind it. It was really interesting. I was listening to something on the news where a person from one of the companies who created the Jabberwockies was presenting, starts with P, and they said they were delivering to government. They were talking about that they were in a race to bring it to market. To bring it to market. The person did not say, we were so overwhelmingly concerned for the safety and protection of our fellow brothers and sisters in humanity, that we were doing everything we possibly could to bring this to them as safely and quickly as possible, and make them aware of all the possible benefits and all the possible pitfalls. No, they said it was a race to get it to market. That just says it all right there. And this is where it becomes the concern, whether we're talking about that, okay, and because this is a big topic, we're talking about that, but it doesn't matter whether it's that or whether it's any other product or any other aspect of life in relationship. It's the intention and the agenda that's behind that. What is the contract of expectation that's being asked of you?
Yeah, good. And that's a really, really well said in that space, because, yeah, when, you know, definitely not just trying to lump it all into the one bathtub. It's singling out the ones that are actually like that, you know, bring it to market, get it to market. Don't worry about anything else. We don't care. Just get it to market. But there are a lot of other elephants in the room. And for our listeners out there, if you would be interested and would like to contact us here at Supernal, you can get our email address from the magazine. You can send an email to editor@supernalmagazineaustralia.com.au, and we'll look at what your elephants are, because that's really what it boils down to. We want to put an issue together of just interesting elephants, you know, and it can be anything. It doesn't have to be about the current situation. It might be to do with climate change. It might be to do with births and deaths. It might be to do, you know, because there's been a lot of stuff on the radio here about population and the population dropping in births quite substantially over the last couple of years. So there's quite a few. I've got a whole list of them sort of written out here. As our listeners and our readers, we really appreciate and value your thoughts. So if you want to take some time out, send us a bit of information. We want to, obviously anything we put out there, we want to back it up with some sort of factual information. So we're not going to just go out there and say, the head of this particular company has said this without actually trying to find the link and supply the video where they actually say that. And the context is right. So that's what we're trying to do. So we want to back it up with fact. We don't want to just make stuff up and put us into a conspiracy theory mode. We're really interested in working out what are the elephants and discussing them and bringing them out in the open.
But the thing is, Anthony, that all of the stuff that people have said was conspiracy theory has come to pass, and that term just does not serve us in humanity anymore. So
no, that's right.
Let's just park that completely and say, let's just talk about what are the things that are outside of our full conscious realization, and what's going on that's conscious, and what's the bit that's unconscious that we need to pull out so that we can bring it into the light and then bring it into our heart and bring it into unity so we can grow forward as humanity in love and in gratitude and in positivity.
Yep. Totally agree with that. So I think that's again, looking at that, the wording is really important to reflect the end results for wherever that goes, because we don't want to put it in a negative aspect per se. And you're right, a lot of the so-called conspiracy theories that have been talked about, they're absolutely there. And we just, it's a matter of understanding, well, okay, if they're there, and why is everyone trying to shut them down? Well, there's probably a basis in truth and consciousness about that space.
Yeah, there's something for us to look at as humanity about our thoughts, beliefs, and behaviors, and whether we're coming at something from love or fear, and to be able to, look at things critically. But critically, I don't mean negative critical. I mean, with detachment and with reverence for life.
Yeah.
And with reverence for life, does this serve us? Is it healthy? Is it unhealthy?
Yep. Perfectly. Probably a good way to sort of be winding down the show with those words. Do you wanted to jump in with something, Shirley?
Well, the elephant, each of us is a room in a greater mansion. So there is an elephant in each room within each of us that needs to be dealt with. Hence, we're in the self-existing period at this time for it to open. And integrity, the word you used earlier, if we go back to the Christmas date of 25th of December and look at next year, we come to an 8, which is the tone of integrity. That integrity must be found within each of us in our room to allow that elephant. And the painting behind me, which you see there, which was the elephant, the great elephant Ganesh, and that's his human form. His elephant counterpart is beneath that. I painted that one in they're all layered. As we were sitting here, that eye, his eye opened. I painted them both closed, but when I'm looking and I can see, I was sitting there and it went, and see how one's got the darker spot in rather than the lid. I sort of saw it open, and I felt he was telling me, the elephant in there, that humanity is one eye is open. They're not both open, but one eye is open. A bit of awareness is coming in. And as I have the Ganesh, aka elephant, in the room cards, I would like to read this one, which is Insight, number 26, which is also an 8.
Beautiful.
So it's the insight, intuition of the people is 26, insight. And see the blue energy, which I had to change to my blue top before we started. Freya's sitting there with a beautiful blue background. Anthony's, we've got all blue. And of course, that blue is the color, so much of certain chakra energies that are our intuitive self, shall we say.
Yep.
And look at the beautiful gold. Anyway, it's about insight. And as I was shuffling them as Freya was speaking, and I felt this came out very well. For everyone, your inner compass knows the key to your true happiness. Ganesha is focusing attention to your third eye chakra. He is acknowledging that you are in a phase where you can grow and expand your consciousness. One eye will open. Intuition is the voice of the spirit and soul. It can be heard when you are in a state of calm. You have the ability to tune into a strong, clear connection. The guidance you receive from the divine can always be trusted. The intuitive insights you receive speak to you about things that directly affect your life, relationships, and personal process. You may find that your intuition grows and becomes clearer the more you tune in and follow it. As like it is not a conspiracy theory, it is something which has not revealed yet that you have tuned into, that people poo-poo because they think they don't see it, so they can't accept it yet.
Mm-hmm.
The more you clear the third eye chakra energy, space, and practice using your intuition, the more clearly you will see in every way. Indigo blue is the color for the third eye chakra. When the third eye is in balance, you are self-realized. Paramahansa Yogananda, self-realized. You will find that you live in harmony with your expanded true self and with people who you interact with in your life. This does not mean that you will never have problems, but rather that you look at them with a different perspective, also a big 8 energy. Mm-hmm. You may find that you are charismatic, empathic, and highly intuitive. You are intelligent with a good imagination and accurate perceptions.
Beautiful, beautiful. And Ash, what a way to sort of wrap up the show with that, to put it out there, because it really does put it all into a gorgeous perspective. And, you know, and I think I said it earlier, and certainly, you know, Freya did in a post. I'm very blessed to have both of you here to, you know, share your knowledge with me. And that sort of gets rid of some of my ignorance about things. And hopefully, our listeners and our readers get that same impression. So to both of you, thank you very much for your time and your love and your caring for not just yourselves, but us as well.
Thank you. And you are blessed with us.
Absolutely.
By us, but that goes back the other way as well, because you give us this opportunity, and I know how much work, and I give Anthony a hard time. But I also tell him the truth. And I do tell him that I do not even know how you are doing this, because all the time it's 1,000% of your time is doing this. I don't know how you're doing it all. And you've given so many people the opportunity to have their say, be present, share their information, and all the readers and everybody that picks it up the opportunity to get such a diverse, and wealth of knowledge and wisdom for them to pick up with what suits them.
Yeah, to grow.
We've got like-mindedness, but also individual and different, and able to present in our individual and different ways, because everything's for everybody. There's no one truth. Back to Rome.
Yeah.
It reminds me of a line from the column I wrote this month, and the truth is, as much knowledge and information and everything that's out there, it's the sacredness through which we perceive and revere ourselves, life, each other, all of creation, and the capacity to grow in unconditional love.
Yeah,
that is the catalyst for humanity's spiritual awakening. And the more of us that can hold that space for one another, the more and the sooner that the possibility of the instantaneous great awakening can occur.
Great. And that's it. And I think I really do believe that what we're offering people, an opportunity to have a voice, is so important. And, for readers out there, please get in touch with us if you've got ideas or thoughts where you just want to say hi. we respond. We're not just somebody that sits back and doesn't do anything. The time and effort that everyone puts into creating what Supernal Magazine is, and the podcasts and the radio shows and the interviews and everything that we're doing, it is just really to give people a voice about what they believe in and what they think. We don't tell them what they have to think. And in most cases, we don't even tell them what to say. It's like, it's your choice. You say it, it might come out right, it might not. However, we're prepared to at least offer a voice, and that's unbiased and comes from a heart space rather than a profit space. So very important. But look, on that note, ladies, thank you very much for joining me again. We'll try and get at least one more radio show done before the end of the year, potentially a Christmas episode, we'll see. For listeners out there, www.supernalmagazineaustralia.com.au. It's free to subscribe. You get access to all the back issues, and we're at issue number 39, if you can believe it already. 39, and we're coming into the start of our 5th year of operation. So December 19 or thereabouts was when we started.
Just double issues now, people. We've been 2 issues in one.
Yeah, exactly, and we've had to sort of do that under the current climate. However, it's all available for our readers, our listeners. We do survive on advertising and donation. So if you're, as I make a clunk, if you're wanting to donate or advertise and your business aligns with Supernal's ethos, then contact me. I'll look at that. Generosity, and there, through the magazine you can actually make donations to keep us going, and the donations do not go to pay any form of wages. They are seriously only used towards the magazine and its continued survival. So for those people that have donated this year, thank you. We do really appreciate it, and yeah, generosity is just amazing. All right, so thank you very much, ladies. Have a fantastic Supernal week or two, and we'll be in touch soon.
Indeed.
Go well.
Ciao.